When you walk into Home Depot and compare Pergo Laminate to Quick-Step Laminate, you are not comparing two competing companies. You are comparing two brands owned by the exact same corporation and, in many cases, manufactured at the same facility with the same core material at specs that are nearly identical. The only thing that changes is the name on the box and the price tag. Not an accident, a business model. The flooring industry in America has quietly consolidated into something most consumers have no idea about. Two companies, Mohawk Industries and Shaw Industries, together control somewhere between 60 and 65% of all flooring sold in the United States. Mohawk alone pulls in $10.8 billion a year. Shaw, which Warren Buffett bought for about $2 billion back in 1991, now generates roughly $6 billion annually and is one of the most profitable divisions inside Berkshire Hathaway. Between these two giants, there are over 40 consumer-facing brands. Different names, different logos, different price points, different store exclusives, and in many cases, the same factory floor. And that is just the start of what the flooring industry does not want you to know. We are going to break all of it down. The brand consolidation, the one specification that actually determines whether your floor lasts 5 years or 20, the company that sold flooring with formaldehyde levels 20 times the legal limit and what happened to it, and the import tariff shell game reshaping where your floor comes from right now. By the end of this video, you will never walk into a flooring store the same way again. Let us start with the map. Mohawk Industries is the world's largest flooring manufacturer by revenue. When most people hear Mohawk, they think of carpet. And yes, Mohawk makes carpet. But the brand portfolio goes way beyond that. Pergo, one of the most recognizable laminate names in America, is Mohawk. Quick-Step, marketed on its Belgian heritage and positioned as a premium European product, is also Mohawk. Stan, which sells high-end rugs and carpet, is Mohawk. Daltile, the tile brand you have probably seen in showrooms everywhere, Mohawk. American Olean, Marazzi, Mohawk, Mohawk, Mohawk. So here is the situation a real consumer walks into. You are renovating your kitchen. You go to Home Depot and you see Pergo Laminate at $1.59 to $2.99 per square foot. You go to Lowe's and you see Quick-Step at $1.99 to $3.29. You think you are comparison shopping. You think you are doing due diligence between two competing companies from different countries, different manufacturing philosophies, different engineering traditions. You are not. You are picking between two internal product tiers within the same company. The premium you are paying for Quick-Step's supposed Belgian engineering heritage goes directly into Mohawk's quarterly earnings. Not illegal, not even unusual in consumer goods. Think about how many competing shampoo brands are actually owned by Procter & Gamble, or how many different cereals roll out of the same General Mills facility. But flooring is different because the stakes are different. We are talking about a product you will live on for the next decade or more. A product you install once, and replacing it costs thousands of dollars. Getting this wrong is not like buying the wrong shampoo. Now, let's talk about Shaw, because Shaw is a different kind of story. Shaw Industries, owned by Berkshire Hathaway, runs brands including Shaw Floors, Anderson Tuftex, and most importantly, CoreTech. If you have spent any time researching LVP flooring, you have heard of CoreTech. CoreTech is not just a Shaw brand. CoreTech is the company that invented the WPC rigid core technology that built the foundation of the entire luxury vinyl plank category as it exists today. WPC stands for Wood Plastic Composite. It is the engineered core that gives LVP its rigidity, its comfort underfoot, and its ability to float over uneven subfloors without glue. Shaw acquired CoreTech in 2016. The company that created the category is now part of the company owned by Warren Buffett. Think about what that means for a minute. The category-defining technology, the original patent, the brand name that consumers trust as the gold standard, all of it sits inside one corporation that already controls a massive share of total sales. Here is where it gets interesting. The WPC core patent expired around 2018, and the moment it did, dozens of manufacturers, mostly Chinese, started producing WPC core LVP as fast as they could. Prices collapsed. Products that were selling at $3.50 per square foot dropped under $2 for import versions. On the surface, that sounds like a win for consumers. Competition drives prices down, right? Not exactly. When Chinese manufacturers started competing on price instead of specs, the quality floor dropped along with the cost. At $1.89 per square foot, you might be getting a WPC core product with a 6mm wear layer and a locking system that will not hold together after 2 winters. At $2.99 from a reputable brand with documented specs, you might be getting a 20mm wear layer and an AC3 impact rating. The problem is that the box of both products says WPC core luxury vinyl plank, and both have glossy photos of beautiful kitchens on the label. So how do you actually tell the difference? One number. One single number tells you almost everything you need to know about whether a piece of LVP flooring will last, and almost no one in a flooring showroom will mention it unless you ask. Wear layer mill thickness. A mill is 1/1000th of an inch. The wear layer is the clear protective coating on top of the decorative vinyl layer. It is the only thing standing between your floor and everything that is going to scratch, scuff, dent, and grind against it for the next decade. Marketing language like ultra durable and extra tough core and commercial grade performance. That language refers to the core material, which affects how the floor handles temperature changes. The core does not protect the surface. Only the wear layer does that. Here is the actual breakdown. 6 to 12 mil is residential light duty. Under normal use, you are looking at 2 to 5 years before the surface starts showing real wear. 12 to 20 million is standard residential, 5 to 10 years. 20 to 30 million is heavy residential or light commercial, 10 to 20 years. 30 million and above is commercial specification. So when a salesperson tells you a floor is perfect for families with kids and pets, ask them what the mill thickness is. If they say 12 mil and you have 3 dogs and hardwood floors, that floor will look destroyed in 4 years. If they cannot answer the question, walk out. The floor brand does not matter for this. The country of origin does not matter. Mohawk makes products across the entire mill range. So does Shaw. So do budget imports. Mill thickness is a specification, not a brand loyalty question. Write it down before you go shopping. 20 mil minimum for a household with kids, pets, or high traffic. 30 mil if you want it to last and never think about it again. Now, we need to talk about SPC versus WPC because most people get this one completely backwards, and it is the second most important decision you will make. SPC stands for stone plastic composite. WPC stands for wood plastic composite. Both are rigid core LVP. Both float over existing subfloors. Both are waterproof. The difference lives in the core density and how that affects performance under temperature change. SPC is denser, heavier, more rigid. Under heat, SPC has near zero dimensional change. WPC, because of the air pockets built into the composite for sound insulation and comfort, expands and contracts slightly, somewhere between 0.3 and 1% with significant temperature swings. In most temperate climates, in interior rooms with consistent HVAC, WPC is fine. It feels warmer underfoot, it absorbs sound better, and the comfort difference is noticeable if you are standing in a kitchen for hours at a time. But here is where people get burned. If you are putting flooring over radiant heat, the in-floor heating system that warms from below, you need SPC. Full stop. WPC over radiant heat will expand, the locking joints will stress, and eventually the floor will buckle or gap. Same situation if you are doing a sunroom in Arizona or Florida, where the room hits 90 degrees Fahrenheit on a summer afternoon. Same situation if you are going over a concrete slab in a garage conversion or a basement that gets cold in winter. WPC is comfortable, SPC is stable, Match the product to the environment, not to the brand. Now I want to take you back to 2015, because what happened then is the reason the entire conversation about flooring transparency exists, and most people have already forgotten it. In March of 2015, 60 Minutes aired an investigation into lumber liquidators, at the time one of the largest flooring retailers in the country. Independent lab tests on Chinese manufactured laminate flooring sold by lumber liquidators showed formaldehyde levels at 6 to 20 times the California Air Resources Board maximum limit. The California limit is 0.05 parts per million. Products coming off lumber liquidators' shelves were testing at 0.3 to 1.0 parts per million. Formaldehyde at those concentrations is a known carcinogen. People had this flooring installed in their homes, in their bedrooms, in their kids' rooms. The lawsuits came. Lumber liquidators settled for $36 million. They were required to test existing inventory. They pulled product. And then, and this is the part that tends to get buried, they rebranded. In 2021, Lumber Liquidators became LL Flooring. New logo, new name, same stores. As if a fresh coat of branding would quietly close the chapter, it did not save the company. LL Flooring filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in 2024, not Chapter 11, which is reorganization, but Chapter 7. Full dissolution. The company is gone, the stores closed, the employees lost their jobs, and the consumers who bought that flooring a decade ago and never replaced it are still living on it. What does this mean for you right now, today, shopping for LVP? Certification is not optional. FloorScore is the industry's primary third-party certification for VOC and formaldehyde compliance. When you are looking at any laminate or LVP product, especially any imported product, the FloorScore certification tells you an independent lab has verified that the formaldehyde and VOC emissions are within safe limits. No FloorScore? No CARB Phase 2 compliance at minimum? Do not buy it. It does not matter how good the price is. Now let us talk about where your floor is actually coming from, because the answer has been shifting fast and will keep shifting. In 2018, the US imposed Section 301 tariffs on Chinese goods. LVP flooring, classified under HTS codes 3918 and 3919, got hit with a 25% tariff. That is not a small number. On a $2 per square foot product, that is an additional 50 cents per square foot before it even leaves the port. For a 1,000 square foot job, you are talking about $500 in tariff costs embedded in that price before markup, before retail margin, before installation. The industry moved fast. Manufacturing shifted. Vietnam, Cambodia, and Indonesia, countries with lower tariff rates under existing trade agreements, became the primary LVP export hubs for product previously coming out of China. But here is the thing about country of origin labeling on flooring packages. It reflects where the product was finally assembled, not where the vinyl compound was produced, not where the wear layer coating was applied, not where the core material was made. A product assembled in Vietnam using Chinese manufactured vinyl compound and Chinese wear layer coating gets labeled Made in Vietnam. Global supply chains work that way. Understood. But it matters for two reasons. First, quality control. When production shifts rapidly to new facilities in new countries chasing tariff avoidance, consistency suffers. Second, the tariff situation stays in constant motion. Trade policy changes send ripple effects through the entire supply chain that show up as price swings at the consumer level. Sometimes months later, sometimes within weeks. The practical takeaway: buy certified product from brands with documented quality control, regardless of country of origin. Country of origin tells you very little about quality. Certification documentation tells you a lot. Let us pull this all together, because there is a very short list of things that actually matter when you are buying flooring. 1. Wear layer mill thickness. 20 mil minimum for standard residential use with kids, pets, or high traffic. 30 mil if you want it to last 20 years. If the spec sheet does not list the wear layer, ask. If they cannot tell you, walk away. 2. SPC versus WPC, match to your environment. Radiant heat, concrete slab, temperature variable spaces, SPC, standard interior residential. Either works, WPC is more comfortable. 3. Certification, floor score or CARB. Phase 2 compliance minimum, no exceptions for imported product. That piece of paper represents the difference between a healthy home and a decade of off-gassing. 4. Brand consolidation awareness. Mohawk and Shaw together control most of the branded flooring market. Comparing Pergo to Quick Step is comparing Mohawk to Mohawk. Nothing wrong with buying either, the products can be good. But understand, you are comparing internal product tiers, not independent companies. Make your decision based on specs, not brand stories. And 5. The floor that lasted 20 years in your grandmother's house was probably solid hardwood with a real finish, installed by a craftsman who took pride in the work. The floor being sold to you today at $1.89 per square foot with a 6mm wear layer will not make it to your kids' teenage years. You get what the spec sheet says. Read the spec sheet. Here is the question I want you to sit with. The flooring industry is worth over $40 billion a year in the US alone. 2 companies control most of it. Certification systems exist specifically because of documented cases of products that made people sick. Tariff policy is actively reshaping where product comes from. And the single most important buying specification, wear layer thickness, almost never appears prominently on store displays or in television commercials. So tell me in the comments, what flooring have you installed in your home? And did anyone in the store ever mention the wear layer mill thickness to you? Because I am genuinely curious how many people were shown that number unprompted, and I suspect the answer is almost nobody. If this gave you something you did not know before, hit the like button. It genuinely helps other people find this video. Share it with anyone who is renovating right now, because this is exactly the kind of thing that saves you from a $4,000 mistake. And subscribe if you want more of this. Next week, we are going inside another industry where the brand names you have trusted your whole life are not what you think they are. You are going to want to see it.